In this lesson, we are going to learn how to solve a system of linear inequalities by graphing. There are 3 steps to follow when you are solving a system of inequalities. The first step is you must solve both inequalities for y. You must put them in y-intercept form. After you have them in y-intercept form, then step 2 is to graph both of the inequalities on the same coordinate grid. Where the shading overlaps is the solution set to the system of inequalities. So after your lesson today, your target will be, I can solve a system of inequalities by graphing. Let's look at our first example. Example 1 is a more simple example because the inequalities are already in y-intercept form. So we can skip straight to step 2 and just graph them. So the first one says y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 4. So I'll plot my y-intercept at positive 4, and then I'll perform my slope of negative 1. Down 1 to the right 1, or up 1 to the left 1. Since this is a less than or equal to, we'll have a solid line through these points. And since it is less than, I'll go to the y-intercept and I will shade underneath the graph. Now I'm ready to graph my second inequality on the same grid. This one has a y-intercept of positive 7, so I go up to positive 7 and I draw my y-intercept. Now I perform my slope, which is negative 4. So that means I will fall 4 and run 1 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I also could go up 4 into the left 1, but I run out of grid. So now I connect that, and since it's a steeper line, I'm going to use a straight edge. And this also is a solid line because it has that equal to. So I got a nice straight line. All right, so for this line, y is greater than, so I'm going to go to my y-intercept and shade above. And where my shading overlaps, which is this area right here, I'm going to color it in. And these are all the solutions to this system inequalities. So all of the points that are shaded in here are solutions. All right, second example. Also one that both inequalities are already solved for y, so we can begin by graphing. First one is y is greater than negative 3/4 x minus 1. So I go to negative 1 and plot my y-intercept. Now I perform my slope. It's a negative slope. So I fall 1, 2, 3 and run 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the positive direction. Fall 1, 2, 3, run 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or I can go up 3, 1, 2, 3 and run 4 in the negative direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now since this is just greater than, it's not equal to, I'm going to have a dashed line through these points. And since it's greater than, I'm going to go to the y-intercept and I'm going to shade above the line. Now I'm ready to graph the second equation. Y is less than or equal to 1/4 x minus 5. So my y-intercept is a negative 5, and I'm going to go up 1 into the right 4, up 1 into the right 4, or I can go down 1 into the left 4, down 1 into the left 4. I'm going to use a straight edge on this one too, since the slope is not very steep. Let me check solid or dashed line. Solid line, because we have the equal to sign. And then it's less than, so I shade underneath. And you can see this area right here is where both of the shadings overlap. So those are the points that satisfy this system of inequalities. All right, example 3 gets a little bit harder because our inequalities are not solved for y. So that's what I must do first. So I'm going to take the first inequality, which is 9x minus 5y is greater than 25. So I subtract 9x from both sides, and I get negative 5y is greater than negative 9x plus 25. Now I have to divide by a negative 5 to get y all by itself. Remember, when you divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality. So now instead of y is greater than, I have y is less than 9/5 x minus 5. So I'll have to graph this inequality. I'm going to hold off on that. I'm going to come and solve the second one. 9x minus 5y is greater than 15. Now you might notice that these are parallel lines, but when they are systems of inequalities, that does not mean they have no solution. So I'm going to subtract the 9x from both sides, and I get negative 5y is greater than negative 9x plus 15. Now I'm going to divide by the negative 5 on each side. Because I divide by that negative, I have to flip the inequality. So I'm left with y is less than 9/5 x minus 3. So here's my second inequality. Now I'm ready to graph. So I take the first one and plot negative 5 as my y-intercept and go up 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and draw my dot. There are no other points that will fit on this coordinate grid, and since this is a less than without an equal to, I'm going to make a dashed line through these points. And y is less than, so I'm going to shade in this direction. Now I'm ready to graph the second one. My y-intercept is negative 3. My slope again is 9/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, this is a dashed line because it is just less than. They are very close to each other. They are parallel, but less than means I shade underneath. So you can see where they're overlap. Shading overlaps in this area right here. So all of these points are solutions to this system of inequalities. All right, let's look at example number 4. Again, we have to solve for y. You see the first one has an x is greater than or equal to negative 8. You have to remember that that is just an equation for a vertical line. So I can graph that one. I just go to where x is negative 8, and this means that all the x values in all the points on the line are going to be negative 8. So you're going to draw a vertical line through x is negative 8. We made it solid because it is an equal to, and we want it to be greater than, so we're going to shade where all the x's are greater, so we're going to shade in the positive x direction. Now I have to solve this inequality for y, so I have 5x plus 4y is greater than or equal to negative 12. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides, and I end up with 4y is greater than or equal to negative 5x minus 12, and then divide by 4 on each side. So I got y is greater than or equal to negative 5/4 x minus 3. All right, so now I plot my y-intercept of negative 3, and my slope is a negative 5/4, so I can go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, draw my dot. Or I can go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and And I can do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this also is going to be a solid line because it has the equal to. Y is greater than or equal to, so I have a solid line through these points. And since it's greater than, I shade above the line. So where all both shadings will overlap will be my solution set to this system of inequalities. All right, we got one more example. Example 5. All right, so for example 5, both of them need to be solved for y. So for the first one, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So I'll be left with negative 4y is greater than or equal to negative 3x minus 16. Then I'll divide by negative 4 on both sides. So I get y is greater than or equal to 3/4 x plus 4. So there's my first inequality that I can graph. So now I'm ready to solve the second one. For this one, I'll subtract 7x from both sides first. So I'll be left with negative 2y is greater than 14 minus 7x. And I'm sorry that I forgot up here, we divided by a negative, so we have to flip the inequality. So it's not going to be greater than or equal to, it's going to be less than or equal to. Same thing's going to happen here. I'm going to have to divide by a negative 2, so I have to flip the inequality. So I'm left with y is less than, I'm going to put the x first, 7/2 x minus 7. And now I am ready to graph both of the equations. So I start here. I have a y-intercept of a positive 4. So I go up to 4, and I put my point. Now I perform my slope, which is a positive 3/4. So up 1, 2, 3, into the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or I can fall 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I connect it with a solid line because it is less than or equal to. And since it's less than or equal to, I'm going to shade underneath the line. And now I'm ready to graph the second inequality. My y-intercept is negative 7. So I come down to negative 7 and plot my y-intercept. And now I perform my slope. It's positive 7/2. So I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right 2. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right 2. We can't go any farther. It's a dashed line because I just have an less than sign, no equal to. And since it's less than, I'm going to find my y-intercept and shade underneath the graph. And you can see that the shadings will intersect in this area. So all of the solutions to this system of inequalities are all the points in this shaded region. All right, hopefully we met our target that you can now solve a system of inequalities by graphing. We'll practice tomorrow in class.